Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Today I've got a battle for you in the Tier 7 Premium Soviet battleship Lenin, which I believe I said in my first impressions review of the ship may be a great candidate for the poster boy of Soviet bias. And if you want to know why I said that, it should be evident to you by the time this game is over. We're going to run into a lot of opposition, and the enemy team is going to be able to do very little about our ship because it is so well armored. Now, the Lenin does have a 32mm upper bow plating, and it's got an icebreaker bow with a much thicker plate of armor on the lower part of the bow, meaning that only the Yamato is capable of overmatching the upper part of the bow, but not the lower part. And then the side armor is thick enough to bounce Yamato shells when properly angled, along with any other battleship caliber shells that might be shot at the Lenin in the course of its battles. Plus, the Lenin has 45mm deck armor in the center portion of the ship, and very little superstructure to speak of. All of this adds up to making it a ridiculously incredible tank, and it is functionally immune to high explosive damage from light and heavy cruisers, aside from those with large caliber guns, like, say, the Alaska or the Azuma. Those shells might get some more high explosive penetrations, but the Shores, you see there with that salvo, he does 759 damage because he hits our superstructure, and the rest of his shells shatter harmlessly on our deck armor. We respond with a Citadel, and he's looking none too happy, so he's going to be turning away. Basically, fire is the biggest thing, aside from torpedoes, that you have to worry about in this ship. And so, with my commander, Mikhail Kedrov, I have selected the legendary tier Fight Fire with Fire skill. Now, before the February 1st, 2021 patch, there was a problem with this Fight Fire with Fire skill when you applied it to Soviet battleships. The way that skill works is it passively reduces the damage that you take from fires lit on your ship by, I think, 10% at legendary level 2 or 3. Not sure about the exact number, but it reduces fire damage. And then it has an additional effect that is activated when your damage control party consumable is on cooldown. So you see we have 24 seconds left before our damage control is up. If in the span of that 21 seconds we were lit on fire 3 times by, say, that Shores, the fires would instantly go out as soon as the third fire was lit. That, of course, only works if the damage control party consumable is on cooldown. But before the February 1st, 2021 update, which should be released and live by the time this video is on YouTube, before that update, if you had depleted your limited number of damage control party consumables on the Soviet battleships, then if you got lit on fire 3 times, you would just be stuck with those fires, and they would not go out. And I learned that the hard way at the end of this game. You're going to see that problem arise in the final dying minutes of the match, and you can see what it was like before the update fixed that. Also, we're going to learn some stuff about the Lenin's secondaries at the end of this match, too. Anyway, before we get to the end of the battle, where we're going to see those secondaries in action, let's take a look at what we're doing here and the situation as far as ship count and points go. We just lost a blue battleship, so we are down on ship count by 2 ships, and the enemy is ahead of us by more than 100 points. We have the Alpha Cap secured, teammates are working on Charlie, doesn't look like they're going to get it. These 3 ships over here on the eastern side of this island are all clustered together. Initially we were engaging them from the eastern side of those islands, but then we decided to go west to try to get some flanking shots on them. Turns out that this is potentially a very, very risky move. We've got a Bismarck in front of us, along with an Alabama, and then off over there to the east, an enemy Alabama has just been spotted on the minimap inside of the Charlie Cap. We are within range of his guns, so if he wants to turn and shoot us, he'll have access to our broadside, which is why I'm kind of flirting with the idea of going into the gap between these two islands to make sure that that Alabama or Massachusetts, might be Massachusetts, on the eastern side of the map doesn't have access to my broadside. Looks like he's tied up dealing with a friendly destroyer near the Charlie Cap, though, so he never does end up shooting at me. Nevertheless, risky move. Always want to pay attention to what's going on the map. Since that ship didn't shoot at me, though, we're able to wreak havoc on these guys, nearly finishing off the shores, who we hit first in the beginning of this battle. Miyoko out there, about 10 kilometers away. We are expecting that his torpedoes might come and hit us, so we are going to slow down and hopefully take a shot at this broadside Massachusetts that I think I misidentified as an Alabama earlier. It's actually Massachusetts. He's given us broadside, clearly not expecting us to shoot at him, but we do, and we take away a lot of his hit points as we smack his citadel. Gonna get the third turret involved there. Taking a look at this Miyoko, expecting his torpedoes to come at us at any time, and I thought I might have been safe, like he might have already launched them, but no, here they are. And unfortunately for us, we are going to end up taking one just as we delete the Miyoko for our second kill of the game and our second Citadel hit. We're on 16,000 damage right now, and at the moment, the King George is pretty much the biggest threat to us. You can see as that Massachusetts shoots our angled side armor, he's getting no damage whatsoever. The Lenin is a ridiculous tank, and we're just shoving it down the enemy's throats at this point. We want to kill this King George, though. He does have battleship caliber high explosive, and that is the biggest threat to us. As long as it hits a part of our armor that it can penetrate, then it doesn't care about our angle. Nevertheless, we finish off the King George, third kill of the game. That just leaves the Massachusetts left on this side, and because of our, I guess you might call it rampage, through this western side of the map, only the enemy Massachusetts is left. He's on very low health, and he is burning, so it's not going to take too much effort to take him down. Of course, he is angled away, so we are forced to aim up into his superstructure, and we aren't getting great results doing it, either because he's damage saturated, or potentially because the Lenin's flat shell arcs make it a little bit more difficult to get up into that superstructure. I don't know. In any case, it shouldn't take too many more salvos to finish him off, especially not if he wants to turn and give broadside the way he is doing here. We nearly take him out for our fourth kill of the game, but somebody else secures a kill. And now enters the Baltimore, the Xarkun Baltimore for that matter. He's going to give us a fair bit of trouble as we approach him here. And part of that is we aren't going to be able to hit his citadel, whether because we're not aiming our shots correctly. Obviously, 16-inch guns are going to overmatch his bow armor and do a ridiculous amount of damage, but he is going to give us some broadside coming up here, and we aren't going to be able to quite aim the guns at his citadel. Now, he lights us on fire twice, which forces us to use our final damage control party consumable, and now our secondaries are going off because he's in range. Something interesting about the Lenin secondaries, if you've ever wondered whether you should build this ship as a secondary boat, I don't know why you would wonder that, but it's possible. The answer is definitely not. The Lenin does have a lot of secondaries, 12 100mm secondaries, and 12 152mm secondaries. The problem is, the high explosive on the 100mm secondaries are only capable, or is only capable, of penetrating, I think, 16mm of armor, which is a problem if you are facing any Tier 7 destroyers, all of which I think have around 19 millimeters of armor. By the way, you can see here that we can't quite aim into the Baltimore Citadel due to how fast he's going. And then the 152 millimeter secondaries can only penetrate 25 millimeters of armor, so that makes them ineffective against even cruisers of the same tier, although they would be effective against destroyers. And that's why they're doing 0 damage as they hit this Baltimore. He's coated in 27 millimeters of armor. Nevertheless, he goes down. We aren't able to secure him as our 4th kill, and just like that, it is 3 friendly ships versus this lone Massachusetts. We have a commanding points lead, and I am about to flip this cap circle and basically allow us to build on our lead. A friendly Colorado is engaging the Massachusetts right now, which is not great. I don't really expect him to survive, given that he is coated in 25 millimeters of armor literally everywhere. The Massachusetts 16-inch guns are fully capable of overmatching 25 millimeters of armor, so the Massachusetts is going to be able to score some punishing hits on the Colorado and eventually take him down. Now, we have succeeded in securing the Delta cap, so we hold Alpha and Delta. Even if that Colorado goes down, which he is going to, he's giving far too much broadside to the Massachusetts. You can see that on the minimap, although he is turning to angle in, which still isn't really going to help him because the Massachusetts can overmatch his bow. Anyway, he's going to go down. That's going to bring the point situation closer, but we are still far ahead. What I definitely don't want to do is die in this situation. That won't help things. You can see our friendly Jervis is just kind of hanging back here, aware that, or probably aware anyway, that we've basically won this game and no further action is required on our part. The only way the Massachusetts could possibly win is if he kills all 3 of us, which he's not going to be able to do, but not thanks in part to my own maneuverings. In fact, I am pushing in here, which is not advisable. That Colorado is about to go down. In fact, he does go down with that salvo. I am no longer spotted by the Massachusetts. We still have roughly a 100-point lead, which is going to continue to hold unless the Massachusetts starts to get into the Alpha cap and flips it. Even then, I'm not sure that he could win on points, but it's too late. I'm already committed to this push, and so I have no choice but to engage. I start off with a salvo of HE, since the Massachusetts is so well angled. We're kind of too far away from him to get a bunch of reliable AP penetrations into his superstructure, so I thought the HE was probably the best choice. The Lenin does actually have a pretty good HE alpha strike and also a very good fire chance. Now, I expected this Massachusetts to shoot AP back at me, which, you know, battleships will often do, and had he done that, then he wouldn't have been able to damage me pretty much at all. But he does the right thing. He shoots the HE, lights me on fire. I can't put that fire out because I have no damage control consumables left. Now, he put the fire I lit on him out. That second one that was just lit there is going to be fatal. He shoots at me, though, again with high explosive, and this salvo lights 2 fires. So 3 concurrent fires. Got that fire with fire skill running. They burn me to death there. That's a problem, but by the time you see this video, that problem is going to be fixed. Bit of a risky move on my part here at the end of the match. Works out alright though. The Jervis plays smart and doesn't get himself killed like I do. So we go on to win the battle. We're top of the leaderboard with over 3,000 base XP. Pretty excellent game. The Lenin, ridiculously powerful. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.